This is Jovial Cynic welding a figurine set. I get these requests for figurine sets on the Something Awful forums where people submit their ideas via drawing, and I turn that into metal. In this case, it's a figurine set for a guy looking through a telescope and a girl painting at an easel. Starts off with that drawing, and after I get the drawing from the client, I take it over to my metal area and doodle that out on some sheet metal with a Sharpie. It's 22 gauge sheet metal, about automotive grade. I actually used to use automotive sheet metal for the work that I did, but welding on painted and primered car metal kind of sucks. The smoke and the fumes start to get to me, and headaches and all that. Not so good. So I started buying actual sheet metal from a metal supply store around here, and been using clean metal ever since. Anyhow, after I got it all drawn out, I take my plasma cutter to the sheet metal. It does the work pretty quickly. Once upon a time, I used to use hand shears to cut the metal out, and it would take forever. This reduces the amount of time I have to spend cutting the metal out to about 1/10. Here you can see the pieces of metal cut out, body parts, head pieces. There's a head right there. So once they're cut out, I bring them over to my welding shop. Here's me cutting out the hip joints in the body of the figurine, and there's me doing it again. I could just use flat pieces of sheet metal to make the bodies, but giving them hips and bending them a bit gives the bodies a lot more texture and gives them a lot more personality, which is what I'm shooting for. Once the legs are in place, I break out my torch. This is pretty poor cameramanship on my part. I've got most of the action going off the screen there, but don't know if you noticed, I was using a lighter to start my torch. That's pretty stupid. Don't do that. It's not very safe. I mean, if you're gonna do it, make sure it's got no more fluid in it. You don't really want to have that fluid burning up and setting you on fire. But got my goggles on. Safety first. It's Oxy Acetylene Welding, which is different than arc welding. It's just a torch, just fire that gets really, really heated. Works really well. Once the sparks start flying off the metal, though, you've kind of gotten it too hot. You don't really want to do that. But since I'm not welding anything structural or life safety sort of stuff, I'm not too worried about it. Now I've got the legs welded on. Here I'm going to go ahead and bend the body up. The top half above the hip line is where the body line comes in and gives it the depth that I was talking about before. And I'll bring the legs in just a bit. And once I've done that, I go ahead and bring the arms over. It's just more nails and sheet metal, and later you'll see coat hanger wire. That's pretty much how I make all this. I weld the arms on the same way I weld the legs on, but I get them upside down. The heads of the nails and the arms give the figurine some shoulders, and on the feet on the legs rather, they serve as feet. Kind of a dual-purpose nail head, I guess. So once that's all done, I've got the body parts set up. I go ahead and, well, in this case, normally I'd go straight to the head, but in this case, I wanted to show the props being made. This is the easel, which is just a rectangle that I folded in half and then fold the front end out to serve as the lip of the easel. The props actually take the most work, I think, when I'm welding these figurines up. I only charge a few bucks for each of them when I get a figurine request, but yeah, they are kind of the bulk of the work. Here I'm making the telescope, which is just two rectangles on top of each other, and then I bend it into shape. Nothing real special about the tools I'm using. These pliers were, I think, $2 each at some uh, liquidation store or something. I don't know. This hammer I picked up at a garage sale. It's actually a blacksmith hammer. A little heavy for sheet metal work, I think, but it does the trick. There's me bending the telescope into a round shape. Got the outer portion, or the bigger portion, and now I'm bending the smaller portion into shape. There's a few gaps in the telescope right now, but I'll fill that in later. But there it is, the telescope. Here are the heads. There's my lighter again. To make the necks, it's just coat hanger wire. I've never paid for a coat hanger. People give them to me all the time, but running a little low at the moment. I found an outfit in the East Coast that'll sell 500 for $50 shipped, which makes them about 10 cents a coat hanger, which isn't too bad. I don't go through that many actually per figurine set. I've got about 1.5 centimeters on each neck here, and then when I do the easel and the telescope tripod, I'll use up, I don't know, 10, 20, maybe 30 centimeters, which is about a quarter maybe of a coat hanger. Once I've got the necks on, use my pliers and pick them up while they're hot and bend the heads into shape. And it's just a matter of curving them. It's really simple, but it gives the figurines a tremendous amount of personality and life. Although someone once told me it kind of looks like a newspaper was blown over their faces, but that's all right. I think they look great. These $2 pliers serve as makeshift hammers as well. There you go, some heads. Attaching the heads to the body is just like putting the necks on the heads. It's just a matter of getting the coat hanger wire to weld to the sheet metal. I'm not using gloves. I have no dexterity with gloves on, so I just keep my hand a safe distance away from the flame. It's kind of hard sometimes though with the angles of the metal. Sometimes the flame will ricochet off and go straight towards my hand, which doesn't feel too good. So here's a person. I put him on a stand. Here I've got an oval stand. I used to have all the stands be rectangle, and they were just bits of scrap metal they had left over from other projects. But I figured out that the oval shape stands look really good. They give it a much more refined look, even though it's still just roughly cut with a plasma cutter. I was using the pliers to hold the figurine up while I was welding the legs onto the base. I've got pliers to do that. I've got welding magnets to do that. I'm going to build myself a set of helping hands, alligator clips on those telescoping wires eventually. That'll be useful too. Here's a completed set. You can see the girl at the easel. I've got little bobs in her hair, arm in arm with the guy looking out of a telescope, which was the request. Telescope's not pointing straight up. I'll fix that in a bit. Recently I started tagging my pieces. I just nail in my initials or hammer in my initials into the metal. Figure if I ever become well known or anything, my mark will be on all the work that I do. And drop the camera. Here you can see my initials on there. So yeah, that's me building a figurine set. You can see more of my stuff at newprotest.org.